Buenos días, alumnos. ¿Cómo están? This video lesson is going to be over the irregular verbs in the preterite tense, ir, ser, dar, and ver. So if you see this right here in front of me, this is what you should have in front of yourself. Our guided notes, right, which you're going to fill in the present tense, as well as the preterite tense as we go along. Okay? So let me pull up my PowerPoint, and we will go ahead and get started. Alright, so these are the verbs we're going to be reviewing in the present tense as well as the preterite tense. Okay, so the verb ir, right, which remember means to go. In the past tense, it will mean went. Alright, and go ahead and say these forms with me as we go along. Fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fueron. Right? Notice they don't have any accent marks on them, like our normal verbs do in the preterite tense. As we compare present and past, right, remember the verb ir is also irregular in the present tense. Voy, vas, va, vamos, van. So for example, if I said change voy to the past tense, I go, how would you say I went? Your answer would be fui, right? Moving on to the verb ser, right, which means to be. Remember, it's the permanent to be versus estar is the temporary to be. In the past tense, right, the past of am, is, and are is was and were. Look at the forms; they're exactly the same as the verb ir. We'll get to in a moment how they're or how we'll know which one. Like if we means I went or I was. We'll see that in a moment. So let's go ahead and say the forms again: fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fueron. And then ser in the present tense, as you remember, was also an irregular verb. Soy, eres, es, somos, and son. Alright, and remember to pause and make sure you write these down, fill out your notes as we go. So, ir and ser are exactly the same form. So when you see, in this case, ayer yo fui, you need to think, okay, is that coming from ir or is it coming from ser? Right? Is it I was or I went? Because it can be either one. So let's read the sentence. Ayer yo fui a la playa para nadar. Right? So that could be I went to the beach to swim or I was to the beach. And obviously I went is what makes sense. So we know that this verb is coming from ir. Versus the next sentence. El viaje a Chile fue tremendo. The trip to Chile was or went tremendous, right? It was tremendous. Okay, the trip didn't go anywhere, so that's obviously coming from the verb ser. Alright, moving on with the verb dar. In the past tense, right, means give, but in the past tense it'll mean gave. And our forms are di, diste, dio, dimos, dieron. Notice there's not any accent marks as well. Okay. The verb dar in the present tense is normal except its yo form, which is an irregular yo. Doy, das, da, damos, dan. Right? Damos, we give. Dimos, we gave. Moving on to the verb ver, which means to see or to watch. In the past will mean saw or watched. In the yo form, starting with the yo form, vi, viste, vio, vimos, vieron. If you notice, dar and ver are almost the same, except the difference being the d's are now v's. So they're very, very similar. In the present tense, ver has an irregular yo, just like dar did, right? Which is veo, because we don't take off the er, it's just the r. So veo, ves, ve, vemos, ven, right? El ve, he sees. El vio, he saw. And like I already mentioned, dar and ver are just one letter different, so make sure you keep those straight. Let's do some practice, okay? So let's conjugate. You can do this on your notes or in the margin, scratch sheet of paper. Go ahead and pause the video and conjugate each one of these verbs based upon your subject. Alright, let's take a look at the answers. Yo fui, I went. Él dio, he gave. Nosotros fuimos, we were. Yo vi, I saw. Tú viste, you saw. Juan y Carlos dieron, Juan and Carlos gave. Alright, a little bit more practice with translation. Alright, translate each one of these phrases from English to Spanish. And again, you can pause. Alright, let's go over the answers. I went. Fui. Notice you don't have to say yo fui. You could just say fui. I gave. Di. They were. Fueron. You all saw. Vieron. The informal you went. Fuiste. The informal you were. Fuiste. Right? And again, these two are the same because this one came from the verb ir. This one came from the verb ser. So fuiste can again mean you went or you were. And that will wrap up this video lesson. Adios.